regularly scheduled December meeting of the Fairport Municipal Commission. Holly, would you be kind enough to call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan?
Present.
Commissioner Stuckey?
Here.
Commissioner Fish?
Aye.
Commissioner Slava?
Here.
Chairperson Keefe?
Present. Thank you. We have a visitor in the audience today. Morning.
Would like to know who I am?
Sure.
I'd be happy to tell you. My name is Dan Higgins, a longtime resident of Fairport. I live
Okay.
over on Miles Avenue. I own 2 electric vehicles. Thank you.
And are you here just to listen, or you got something to say? You know, here's your chance.
Well, I really appreciate the wonderful services available in this community. I love living here. And I really like driving my electric cars and using my electric mower and all that stuff. So I'm very interested in what I will hear this morning.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Mayor, good morning. So, I guess the first topic on the agenda is last month's minutes. If everyone's had a chance to review those, and if there's any questions or comments. Otherwise, look for a motion to approve those.
So moved.
You have a motion?
Second.
You have a second? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
I wasn't here, so I'll
Yes.
abstain.
So we got those approved, 3-0. And on the new business, you have a presentation on the EV chargers, and I think that was our technical glitch.
It was a technical glitch this morning. Yeah, this is one of those things that we've been talking about for a little bit as we've had our 28 chargers around the village, and what's the future of them and how do we do this. I'm going to turn this over to Lauren Neese, who's done all the legwork and prepared the presentation. And
Great.
for a change, I'm going to be quiet.
Okay. Morning, Lauren.
Good morning. Apologies for my voice in advance. I was a little scratchy today. So I think, as everybody knows, we've had 27 public chargers in the village in 6 different public parking lots.
Is it on?
Here we go.
Yep.
So we have 6 locations throughout the village in all the public parking lots. We partnered up with NYSERDA back in 2019, shortly after I started here, and applied for a grant through NYSERDA and NYPA Evolve program to basically they paid for these 28 chargers in the village. So at this point, right now they're currently free to charge. And NYPA has been gracious enough to cover the cost for the networking costs, which right now we use EV Connect. They've covered the cost, so you pay per port for the networking, which gets it on the map when people can log in on their phones and see which stations are available, how much they cost. Obviously, these ones are free currently, but that's what the networking does. At this point, we're kind of at a turning point and have some decisions to make. The chargers are out of warranty at this point. We bought them in 2019. Most of them are starting to fail. We've been fixing them as issues crop up. We get notifications through EV Connect right to our emails when we need to troubleshoot something or there's a network issue, anything. So we've been working hard to keep these working as they are now. But at this point, the village, I guess, is at a point where the networking costs, the maintenance, and the charging station replacement costs I guess a decision needs to be made, is where the village wants to go with that. So I will give you the background information and what the networking provides for us. That way you have all the village has all the information they need to make a decision. So again, EV Connect is the software that we use. There's a little snapshot there. There's a dashboard right when you log in. It tells you how many are working, how many are maintenance, how many are offline, and all that. We can get all the historical charge session data. Gives us the ability to troubleshoot quicker. Like I said, it sends us an email as if somebody reports an issue or EV Connect sees an issue on the network side. It gives us all the greenhouse gas emissions, all the data back to 2019, e-miles provided, gasoline, number of trees saved based on the CO2, as well as carbon offsets. And it also tells us that there's a chart on the website that gives you the peak times that people will start charging. So it's just a lot of good information on there. So that's what that software provides for us. Just the basic costs and benefits of where we're at right now. The energy, so we took a 2-year, we took the data from 2 years and based it on a monthly average. So over a 2-year span, the most recent 2 years, we've provided approximately 12,000 kilowatt hours per month. It's just an average. So the software is, right now we have, NYPO was paying for 28 ports. I'll talk about the going down to 24 ports in a little bit. So that is, if we were to go down to 24 at this time, it would be $515 per month. It is a yearly subscription, so it is paid all at once at the beginning of the year. And that's coming up in January if we were to continue. Troubleshooting maintenance, as I talked about before, FMC staff would go out and cycle power if something's happening. We've also gone as far as to hook a computer up to it and kind of get into the weeds a little bit, just because we have the ability to do that. If EV Connect is to come on site, if, it's the middle of the night, we've had a couple of calls, not too many, excuse me. But EV Connect does charge $1,200 per visit to come out and troubleshoot on site, and that's just a local technician that'll come out. We can do this as an optional if FMC can't fix issues going forward, just to keep the cost down. Right now, the chargers are currently free, as you know. We've also looked at the data for the parking, which is people parking there with the cord still plugged in, not charging. So we're averaging, over the past 2 years, 675 hours per month of just people using it as parking. I mean, not that they're doing it on purpose, but that's what the numbers show us.
Does that mean people parking there completely not parking or staying after their charge is done?
Staying after the charge is done. So if the cord isn't plugged in, we're not gonna know
Right.
if someone's parking there. We don't have that data, but, so the other big cost is the cost of replacement charging stations, which we think we can get 8 years out of them. They're on a 5-year warranty, and at this point, it's out of warranty. So our recommendation would be to if the village wants to move forward, is basically replace approximately 6,000 per year, so that's on an 8-year cycle. So we'd be replacing on a 12.5% cycle basis. Based on the usage and getting the data, we're using a worst case scenario and forecasting the future usage. So we're going to forecast a 75% reduction to come up with the kilowatt hour charge for the charging stations. Again, it's just a recommendation. This is not what it has to be, but so right away we're recommending to reduce the networking costs from 28 cords or ports down to 24. 2 are being used for municipal. There's one at the police department and one over in the electric barn. And then we do need to remove 2, one at 80 North Main and Village Landing. We've been they're starting to fail and having issues, breakers tripping, those types of things. So we're recommending to remove those. So that would bring us down to 24 ports. We would propose to set up a fee to charge per kilowatt hour and set up a fee to charge to park after your charging session is complete. And then in the future, we would recommend to evaluate monthly or quarterly usage and revenues and adjust the fees accordingly. Those can be adjusted right on the website. And then in 1 year, we'd recommend to reevaluate the cost benefit to determine the number of stations, if they need to be reduced, see how much they're being used once people are being charged to use them. And then, like I said, evaluate the cost of replacing the charging stations and how that's going to be funded. So based on the data, we'd be proposing 43 cents a kilowatt hour, which would give us,
Bless you.
so we came up with 24 cents a kilowatt hour just to break even with the energy provided and the networking costs. If the village would like to go in the route of funding the replacement of the charging stations on that 8-year cycle, we would estimate we would need to save $600 a month from the revenues to start replacing the stations. So that got us to the 43 cents kilowatt hour. And really, we don't know how much they're going to get used if there is a fee. So this is all just a forecast and an estimate at this point.
So, Lauren, did you say that the 43 cents does include the $600 to replace, or doesn't it?
It does,
Okay.
yes. The 24 cents was just an estimate to break even.
Okay. Out of
Without that.
curiosity, do we know how the 43 cents per kilowatt hour compares to like a public charger not in Fairport?
I've seen
Locally?
I've seen prices range from free all the way up to, I think the largest amount that I saw was 45 cents. Again, I haven't looked at all of them in the area. I just picked out a bunch of them just to compare.
Sure. Thank you.
I think
But
like
that's-
level 3 would be higher, usually like 55, 57.
And then we did notice, looking at the data, that obviously the parking after the charging is complete, so we would propose a fee to park after the charging is complete. We could put in a grace period, say 30 minutes after you're done charging, and then we would propose 20 cents per minute, which is $12 an hour, once the charging is complete. pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions?
Do we know, like, when we go out, when Fairport Electric goes out to fix or do maintenance, what job role is doing that work on the EVs?
We have everyone from meter technicians to meter foremen, engineers, superintendent, project managers. I mean, it
Okay.
depends on what it is. I mean, and there's been an awful lot of trouble with these. I mean, we gotta remember, these are over 5 years old. They have been used quite a bit, I mean, as they were free. They're definitely past their useful life. We don't bill the village or anything right now for all these service calls. But, it's things that need to get talked about in the future. These are definitely, is time spent to maintain these.
Sure.
Matt, is this pretty typical as far as the life expectancy of the charging units and, the amount of time we're putting in? 5 years doesn't sound like a lot, but, I guess maybe in the electric business, something like this it is.
In talking with the Power Authority, who, have been in business a little longer on these and kind of promoting these, we're actually getting longer life than they saw. And I think part of that is their due diligence and trying to do better maintenance. They actually have theirs on a 4 to 5 year replacement schedule.
Okay. Would the new generation be any better, do you know?
Time will tell.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, most of the, honestly, the majority of the issues we have are kind of related to the vehicles plugged into them. We have stuck cords, melted plugs, people that don't pick it up afterwards, and, we have a snowstorm and the plow comes by and it rips the cord off. There's all kinds of nuances that we tend to see with these.
Okay.
I think with the DC chargers across the street, I think those are already scheduled for replacement, and we were talking about a $200,000-$400,000 investment on those. There is no payback for stuff like that, and then they're going out and replacing them already.
I mean, they've already replaced.
Oh, they replaced it
They've
once?
replaced the batteries once already in this 3 year period.
Yeah.
And
It's
that kind of rotation. Yeah,
it's
these are big
crazy
investments.
expensive.
These are big investments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would it make sense to look at reducing the number of stations? Just because there is a cost associated with each one, and we're expecting a significant reduction.
And these are things we've looked at. I mean, right now what we're kind of proposing is to use the existing 24
Okay.
as they fail. Do we replace them immediately? If the village is going to fund the 2,000 per charger, then you could fund them immediately. It may be the 24 as they fail. Do you work it down to a number of 12 or something?
Okay.
These are things that we need to get worked out and budget for.
And I think we can start seeing what the demand is once you start charging a true cost. And again, we're not making profit, we're just trying to cover the kilowatt hour usage, which is completely to the client, in addition to the cost of replacement and O&M that's happening on a daily basis. If that demand drastically goes down, do you really need 24? I mean, at the end of the day, you can always remove the head. The infrastructure is still there, and should the demand increase as EVs become more prevalent, you have the infrastructure in place to go ahead and set some more up or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Which
and we're,
makes
and
sense.
we're estimating the 25% usage, the 75% reduction. I mean, right now they're free, and these are in conversations with people that, do these things. I think we still feel that, we know there is a majority of customers that live in the village. Can they go to their house, charge, but, it's free usage, it's a level 2 charger. Not everyone has a level 2 charger in their home. These are large investments. So, some of that goes away. So we are estimating that 75% reduction, but if it changes, then our numbers can change. We can change our number monthly, if we truly wanted to.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair. I mean, when you're really looking at, I think the key thing that Lauren spoke about was the, like anything, if you plug in and you need a 45-minute charge, right, because you drove to work 5 miles, and you sit there for 9 hours while you're at work, that it's unable to be used for anyone else for that amount of time. So not having a turnover, just like a restaurant. If there's 10 tables in a restaurant, I get there at 5 o'clock for dinner, my reservation, I don't leave till midnight, you're not turning over the table, the restaurant doesn't make any money. This is kind of a similar scenario where somebody's sitting there all day long. So say, hey, charge for your 2 hours. They get a notification on their phone when they're fully charged. Go out, move it. It's a small community, they can get out and do that, right? And then let that turnover happen. So now you're charging 5 vehicles in a day or 3 vehicles in a day versus the 1 that you've been doing. So I think that's going to drastically change the demand for the quantity of chargers that you have in our infrastructure.
Yeah, Yeah, that idle charge.
I mean, that happens
totally
every day,
makes
and we have
sense.
the same people parking there, using it as their personal parking spot every single day. You can see it. Which is fine, you know, it's pilot, it's been kind of doing this, you're trying to build this EV environment that people are doing, but there is a true cost to something like this and what it's doing. To Matt's point, when he and I have talked about this 1,000 times, I mean, most people are charging in their garage. If you have an EV, you're putting an EV charger in at home, right? And I think as demand becomes more of an issue with the grid, as the grid becomes more stressed due to the electric demand and electrification of our infrastructure, you'll see people charging at night, at midnight, at 2 o'clock in the morning, setting those times up to do that when you're not doing peak hours, not during the day when you're sitting there all day long from that 6 in the morning to 6 at night, high peak time when everybody's out and about working, kind of the busy times of the world. So,
Well, I think back when we first got into this was the natural progression. We were gonna reevaluate and, you know, then we'll determine, you know, the need as we go on, particularly once we, you know, start charging for the power and whether that makes a difference. But I think what's outlined here is good because you're absolutely right, Brian. People go in and it's my parking spot. They park it and then they, you know, it's there until they leave work and it's all plugged in. So it does take up a spot and, you know, more so, you know, nobody else can use it. So I think this was sort of the progression that I remember when we talked about this. That we would get
I mean,
to
yeah,
this
it
at
makes
one
sense. I
point.
mean, even what we're charging, I haven't dug into the numbers that they're portraying, but the fact is that you're still doing it on a lower kilowatt hour charge than what most places would sell in another entity, in another franchise. And you're putting that into motion in the O&M cost and not making a lot of profit on it. Because most times when you're doing this, they're not either not run by a municipality or run by a third-party entity or private sector, and you're charging a much kilowatt-hour investor-owned utility charge. There's a profit margin built in all this. Nobody is in business to break even, right? That's not a good business model. So you have that, and in addition to any other charges that you're going on. So I think they're going to be drastically higher than what this is, unless you're electing just to subsidize it to create an environment, right? But you're not subsidizing regular vehicles for driving in your community. They're still coming, right? So I think to say that you have to subsidize an EV vehicle and otherwise they won't come, it's probably not the case. I mean, that's your choice to drive an EV, and the infrastructure is there, but that's what it is. And you can choose at that point whether you want to charge at home or charge in public, whatever it is that you're doing.
We were very lucky that, I mean, in the beginning, I mean, the Power Authority was willing
Yeah.
to pay that $6,000 a year
Yeah.
for the monitoring, you know, for that networking. And I sort of, you know, we get a grant to, you know, to pay for the chargers. And we'll continue to look for, you know, grant opportunities. You know, we're able to get a grant opportunity to pay for new chargers, possibly. You know, but we can't build that into our business model right now. You know, but obviously if it happened in the future, you know, the cost can be reduced, you know, accordingly for those things. But, you know, those two things, by having the charger paid for and all the networking costs, the only cost to us was for the electricity, you know, which you see is very minimal. You know, so one of the things that, you know, does need to get decided, you know, the $6,000 is due for January 1. If we do nothing, they will all stop working on January 1 or so. You know, so that does have to, you know, decisions got to be made, you know, if we want to continue the networking costs or not. You know, and then we can kind of, you know, figure this out. But unfortunately, you know, if we do nothing, you know, they all will stop working. So,
Little Y2K thing happening there?
yes.
Man, okay. Okay. Dan, you charge at home?
I do,
Okay. Do you ever use the chargers in the village?
often,
Okay.
yeah. Gives me a good excuse to walk back home.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm very prompt about returning. I get a message
Yeah.
on the phone that says, you're done.
Well, you're probably the exception to the rule then.
I hope not. It's annoying when I go and see someone parked there all day long.
Yeah.
And
It's pretty common. It's pretty common.
Yeah. Okay. Mayor?
I just wanted to ask a question about, you know, there's the talk about the fee to charge if you just leave your car there. So I'm aware that something pops up, and that fee be charged through the app that they're already using to pay
Yeah.
the charging? And can that money be redirected back into the fund to purchase new chargers?
That's where the money would go. Yeah, it all happens through the app. You know, if you do not, say we give a 30-minute grace period and you don't remove your car, then that parking fee is automatically, they already have your credit card. They're gonna start charging you. I mean, and that's where all of the proceeds, that come through this will be utilized for future, to pay for the networking costs and replacement of the units. Yes. It's a break even.
Are not something that we want to spend a lot of time chasing.
Yeah, it's a break-even plan is what we strive for.
Yeah.
You spend more money administering a parking ticket than you do with anything with a parking
Yeah, these
ticket.
are not
And the fee for
tickets,
one day on
just an
that exceeds our
additional fee.
parking ticket allotment, so I'd rather go this route.
That's great.
And I don't have to go to court on it.
Well, and you can still do parking tickets for people who are parking there and completely not charging, but this would be automatic
Yes.
to handle the idle
Yes.
charges. Yeah, and I think Tesla chargers usually charge $1 a minute, so this is less.
That's significant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just,
I mean,
That
you say
encourages
you
you to-
forget for an hour and you're at the mall, it's a $60.
exactly, yeah.
You won't forget again.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
So yeah, I would support the idle charges, and yeah, I think this looks good, and I think this is still a resource for people in the village. If people don't have another way to charge for, a situation, or always, they could still use these. But yeah, I would anticipate we'll see a shift in that usage, but I think we have a lot of people, myself included, using this because it's free, right? Where we might have some other options.
I'd like to ask,
Yeah, Dan.
have you had follow-up from merchants in the village about the value, perhaps, or lack of it, of the chargers, the fee charges here? I go get my haircut, I would do that anyway, but, does it attract people to the businesses? And the other question is about the forecast of 75% reduction. And I'm curious about the assumptions. I know it's a forecast, but, why? How did you arrive at that?
Most of it's just the feedback. As we talk to the people who are charging, their first thing is, the reason I'm charging here, it's free of charge.
Yeah.
If you were given the choice of paying the 43 cents a kilowatt hour, or you can go home and charge for less, what's your choice going to be? So we're talking about people who are coming in to visit Fairport, is what we're still trying to do. Are we competitive with the rest of the chargers around the area? We're towards the high end, but we're also slightly less than the high end. And part of it's just the feedback we get from the. I would love to say that, listen, if 75% people charge, then we immediately, we can look at our numbers quarterly, monthly, and say, okay, we were going to charge this because we assume this reduction, we're not seeing that, it would be less. Yes,
Yeah,
we'll know immediately.
The infrastructure's there, you're gonna know pretty quickly, but to Matt's point, our kilowatt hour sales are between 4 and 6 cents based on PPA and other things. Would you rather pay 4 or 6 cents per kilowatt hour versus 43, which is and then moreover, even if you're in the IOUs, they're still cheaper that per kilowatt hour charge. If you're charging at home, that type of thing. So if you start making a cost benefit, the whole point of EV is supposed to be cheaper and easier and convenient, and even if you're sitting at home at 18 cents, an investor on utility, 14, 18 cents versus 43, what are you going to do, right? So I think it's going to cut down a lot of that local stuff, the local traffic, but people are passing through, coming there, just pull into a gas station and charge an EV most of the time, at least right now. So they'll come in here and they'll utilize that because there's space, there's availability, and there's the infrastructure here. But I don't think you're going to just have those everyday people just topping it off every single day at the existing chargers. I think most people do now. Every day they just come in and, I drove to work for 20 minutes and I top off for 8 hours on the old plug-in, and then they leave at the end of the day. I think you'll see a drastic shift in that mentality, as it should.
And we do see a fair number of consistent, we don't know who owns the cars. We see that it's the same car. It's a portion of a VIN number type thing. So we know there are business owners, employees that on a daily basis, come to work and they use the preferred prime parking. They're able to charge for free. So I think that immediately kind of goes away, and that opens it up to other people who may need it, utilize it.
Now, when I travel, this is, I look for level 1, of course.
3?
Level 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fast ones.
Right.
And where right now, New York State is not bad. There's a fair number of them, but, when I go somewhere, then I gotta look on the map, what's available. And based on that, where will I stay, where will I eat? And I've made some decisions to go to one town rather than another, because I know that they have level 1. The Seneca Falls was one place. They have some availability. Skinny Atlas, with all your money, 0. So it's an equation that you have to
Right.
solve. Just thought I'd add that.
Yeah, no, that is a reality. That if you're driving an EV, you are gonna look for those type of things when you make decisions about where where you're going or the route you're taking or where you need to stop, so, yeah.
Well, and that's where I think also continuing to have them here, even if they cost money, I think will still potentially attract people here who need to charge, so.
Anything else on the topic?
So are we looking for approval to, support continuing the network charges?
That would help. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of the things that, we can surely pass it through, the IT, that we do now. The key is, how to keep this functioning, we need to spend the, $6,000 now, and then we can, if we replace none of them right now, it's okay. We can continue to evaluate this and things, but, we'll take a $6,000 investment right now just to keep it working.
Okay.
Yeah, whether the general fund, electric fund pays for some or splits it or whatever, we're still gonna keep the network going. That's not even an open debate. I don't think we're not gonna shut down our infrastructure, but how we go about that in the future, the demand, how many cords we have, what that demands look. I think that the EV platform and software will kind of give us some insight as to what our needs are and what we should be building at, and the frequency in certain parking lots may be more favorable than others, or whatever the case may be. So we can take a look at all that.
So seeing that we're sort of mid-year fiscally, do we want to allocate $6,000, the motion to do that beginning January 1? Or when would, what?
If we get if we just get approval to pay now, it is due this month, so it's
Yeah,
effective
okay,
January
so we
1.
just do it now, okay, yeah.
But then the goal is that it's cost neutral. So,
Correct. We will, we'll apply the 43 cents, and then we'll look at this, we look at this on a daily basis, to see who's using them, hours, do we make a decision a month from now, or, 2 months from now to, the usage didn't come down, we can say, hey, we can reduce this to 38 cents, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We'll surely make those adjustments. And the key is, we want it to be revenue neutral.
Well, and you don't want to constantly be changing it. You want it somewhat predictable. But.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So should we put a motion on the floor for $6,000 for the EV chargers?
That'd be helpful.
And going
Yeah.
ahead with a charging structure similar to this,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
or cost structure for the charging. I'd move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None being. So we've allocated said funds as requested.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thanks, Lauren. Glad you got that technical glitch squared away. So, okay.
We'll post it electronically for sure, but I'm surely willing to give you a paper copy also, since I made them.
Well, maybe it would take a paper, because you never know.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, you don't have to hang around. It's not like school where it's detention.
I am wanted elsewhere.
Okay, on to the metering.
Metering's going well. So last week is the first week we actually started setting meters, and obviously the first day is, it's a learning curve. So I think we were able to set 20 meters on the first day. We had a few hiccups. By Friday, we set 182 on Friday. The goal is to set about 150 a day, so we can get this done by May 31st. We're approaching about 300 meters in place right now. We did start with some apartment complexes. We do have some single-family homes mixed in there, and as expected. We have some billing issues, we have some installation issues. These are just little bumps in the road, which we knew were gonna come. Part of it's technology. Training line guys to use the iPad and change these, it's taking some training. But we have come up with a good way that, a person can do it today and then maybe not come back to it for a couple days as they do other line work. But it's going well. So the plan is to kind of hit that 150 a day going forward. But so far, so good. Both vendors, our software platform along with the metering platform vendors have been very supportive. We can reach out to them. They're instantly on a phone call or logging in to help us. So it's going well. We've been doing notifications as the Public Service Commission requested that we are doing Everbridge notices a day ahead of time. We did do a mailing to everybody. I think I've talked to, I won't say all 18,000 customers, but many of them as they had questions. We were able to send out an Everbridge notice 24 hours in advance. We are literally knocking on the door also before we turn people off. We're coordinating with them as they, their kids have to jump on the bus or they're working from home, and we're trying to work around their schedule, but so far it's gone very well. So yeah, it's good news.
Good. All set? Okay. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
We can move on to the rate case.
Rate case was finally approved. Our rates went into effect today.
Nice.
So we're doing a billing tomorrow. So our first bills will go out tomorrow with the new rate that was effective today. We're able to get about a 7% increase this year, and it's a little over 2% next year. So it is a 2-year plan. Covered, it's a capital work. This is the meter infrastructure, the substation project. The majority of this case covered the capital investment that we're making, the bond payments as we bond these projects, along with labor increases, which we know is typical. So staff, it was a great learning curve for staff. We had, this was a first rate case for a lot of the new staff, so it was. The second one will be easier. It went well. Everyone contributed. We had a really good series of meetings with our consultants, with our staff, and we would stop and teach people as the questions, which was good. So this should get us through the next 2 years, and then I would expect in that third year to, at some point next year, we'll start this again to kind of have a new one for the third year to have new rates. I mean, it's something that's almost every year, every other year. You truly need to just catch inflation and all the different changes that happens.
Yeah.
If you just include inflation in it, that's something. So it'll be a never-ending task, but it's a good one.
Yeah. Kudos, everybody, and in time for the winter heating season.
And in time for the winter heating season. So everybody truly did an amazing job with it.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you thought
thanks,
it would be
man.
delayed until after heating
Yes.
season, right?
We did. I've worked with the Public Service Commission, but they were really good to work with. I think part of that is NIMPA has gone out, and we're actually coordinating with the PSC to kind of get some of these munis through these rate cases, so it's consistent to them and the product that they're receiving, and they're seeing 1 or 2, if not 3 a month, which is helping the Public Service Commission to keeping kind of a consistent staff on it. So things that may have taken longer in the past were done quicker this time.
Good.
So
That's great. Yeah.
good news.
Good news. Okay. We have the MEUA fallout, I guess the post-processing, man.
So one of the things I just wanted to touch base on is mutual aid is always a huge part of the MUA.
Yeah.
I've been part of that committee since the inception of it. You know, one of the things that there's 3 of us that sit on the committee right now. We're trying, and we did get we have another 8 now that are on this board, including Brent Losey out of our own Line Barn. You know, he'll be involved in these state phone calls, statewide decisions. You know, on who goes, when they go, the staff needed. And part of this is just continuing to train for the future. You know, there's things that happen, Florida, Carolinas, Northeast. By seeing this happen, you start to learn. It also gives people that have been involved for a long time a little break that it may not be so 24/7. You know, right now, if we know the wind's going to blow in Vermont, you know, we're all kind of ready for, you know, what can we do to help, or you know, and vice versa. You know, when they see the winds in Western New York, you know, they're ramping up to help us. So it's getting new people involved. We have a new liaison for the Western, which would be good. I just wanted to make sure that Brent got his, you know, kudos that he was willing to step up, and he is, and he'll be receiving phone calls and the texts as the needs happen around the Northeast.
Okay. Personnel update.
So we've made 2 hires. We have a new hire in the customer service department. And then we have a new hire that'll start here in January in the accounting department. We'll bring them both to the January meeting. We've had one start, this is their 2nd week, and the other one's not going to start till January, so we'll bring them both at the same time and we can do
Good.
some introductions. But Holly, Mary Beth, and Lauren did an amazing job with interviews, and we're able to make 2 great hires, and look forward to the future with them. And so,
Excellent. Excellent.
really good news.
Yeah, I know it's always tough, but that's great. Okay, we have a contract between Bell Atlantic and FMC on the table, I guess, Brian.
Yeah, sorry it wasn't included in your packet. I did forward it to you during the meeting. It's fairly boilerplate at this point, but it's just a land lease agreement between the village and Bell Atlantic for the purposes of erecting a cell tower owned by Bell Atlantic on FMC property. There are a number of things to still negotiate, discuss, come to agreement on, and so forth. But I want to get it out of the way because I just don't want to make sure that, you know, once they're ready and eager to go now. This is kind of why I asked 6 months or a year ago from Bell Atlantic to send me those terms and conditions of what they were thinking about. Because if we're not on the same page with that, there's a lot of due diligence that's happened, kind of for nothing. So, and there's a lot of things that we still need to work out, but I wanted to get the FMC commissioner's approval of this so that we're pending proper terms, conditions, rates, those types of things, that we have the ability to execute this thing in good faith and negotiate in good faith. So that's why you have it before you now. But there are a number of things that need to be worked out on this.
Where's the location, Brian?
It's right now proposed to be kind of directly to the north of the FMC entrance to the operations center, kind of in their landscaping bed, if you will. Fairly close to the building.
Any other question for Brian?
So we'll keep you up to date on what's going on with that and stuff like that, but we'll see. It just needs to work out. But you're having a big piece of infrastructure that's not ours on our property. I'm just learning today that there's allegedly 4 providers going to go on that. If that was the case, I'll erect my own tower. We've done it once, and
What will the aesthetics be of that?
none of that has been
Okay.
determined yet. I'm sure they're looking at a basic galvanized pole like we put up, nothing fancy, nothing big, but they're significant. There's a significant base that happens in these things. They're unless you've seen one, they're They're alarming. The initial proposal was if they just happen to leave, that they just leave all that in place outside the pole. And I'm like, it's not going to work. I mean, if Matt ever says, hey, I want to bump this out, you can't do anything. So there's just a lot of things. I don't want to negotiate on TV right now either, but there's just a number of things to be worked out. This is a first boilerplate, I'm sure, proposal that they're sending out. There's things that need to be discussed and see if it makes sense for us. For us, it's, X dollars doesn't change our revenue streams or outcomes or ability to survive. It's more of, can we provide a great service that clearly there's a void in the community and the surrounding areas about getting good cell service. I don't know if anybody would really disagree with that to a certain extent, but it needs to make sense. It needs to be sustainable. It needs to be something that we have control on. 5-10 years down the road, maybe our needs change or the Bell Atlantic's change, and how do we go about that? So I just want to make sure we're doing this correctly.
So you're currently looking for basically approval to enter into the
Yeah, should we do it? Yeah.
and then come back once you.
We'll
have-
come back. I just want to make sure that they're like, basically, if we can come to terms, are we moving forward, Brian? I'm like, yeah, we can do that, but it needs to be the right perspective. It needs to be correct. It needs to be accurate. Right now, it's much more favorable to the other party than it is to the village. So I want to make sure that we can find mutual benefit in moving forward with this project.
Thanks, Brian. Would we want to entertain a motion?
I'll take the motion.
We have a motion on the floor
A second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I gotta catch up.
Any opposed? There being none, 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Financials.
Good morning. We have the October tenant financials along with the November financial forecast. And we also have some write-offs that I wanted to get approved that are the annual write-offs that we do on annual to review our old billing. We have already sent them to collections in the past. We've already built an allowance for these write-offs. It's $22,898 for the billing side of things. That is lower than it has been historically in terms of the past couple years. I think we're finally getting past that COVID increase. So it was just over 22. Okay. But we're gonna hold off on actually getting those approved until January, but I just wanted to talk about them, that we will be doing those in January. In addition, for the October financials, there was a $150,000 net loss for the month of October. That's relatively typical for the month of October. It's due to the increased electric bills. As we go into the winter months, we're seeing increased bills, but lower revenue that will come in later. We generally see that revenue start to pick up in springtime as the kilowatt hour sales come back down. For the meters, for the AMI project that Matt was discussing earlier, those were purchased in October, but the cash actually went out in November, just based on the timing of the financials. So we did see a large decrease in the November cash flow. Again, that was anticipated. We did receive approval for a bond anticipation note that came in. The interest rate actually came in below budget, so that's good for us in terms of the budgeted costs associated with that. In addition to that, we had a $150,000 that was paid in October for transmission congestion coverage to New York ISO. There was also $56,000 that was paid for a Ford F-150 to Van Bortle. So we've had some large capital investments, but we will see that cash flow come back in December. That ban will come in on December 20th. So we will see that cash flow come back up. In terms of the kilowatt hours, we're still tracking right on where we have been historically with the kilowatt hour sales. We actually are slightly above what we have been last 2 years. I believe we're about $2 million, or 2 million kilowatt hours over where we have been for the last 2 years. But still trending right around where we have been historically. So I think that is it for my financials, unless there's any questions.
I had a quick question from page 4. Just making sure I'm understanding. The current budget and the estimated year-to-date revenues are largely the same. Shouldn't the year-to-date be part year?
It's the estimated year-to-date, so it's
Right.
anticipating where we will be at the end of the year rather than being so it's including everything that we're anticipating, what we're looking at anticipating by May 31st rather than.
Okay, so that's just saying that we're still anticipating being correct at the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay. Or aligning with the budget? Okay. Should that be end of year then, instead of year-to-date?
End of years in May.
There's a
Just the title on the column, because it's year-to-date.
there's a year-to-date column,
Yeah.
and then there's the estimated year-to-date column, which.
Right. But the estimated year-to-date, should that be, I don't know, would that be more accurate to say estimated end of year? Does that make
Either
sense?
way, we can.
Okay,
I can adjust it.
just confusing. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Can we entertain a motion to accept? Thanks, Bill.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There being none, passed 5-0. You better pace yourself, Bill. All right, then, next on the topic is a motion to pay the FMC vouchers.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, 5-0 approved. Next meeting is Monday, January 13th, so we'll be into the new year, 2025. And I know we're going to go into executive session, so I'm just going to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and, pardon me, Mayor? Oh, okay. And I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and any of the venues you celebrate the season with, so be it. Enjoy and be safe. So,
Tim, just one more thing too. Just remember, we have our village Christmas party. You guys are all invited. Please come. Bring your families, friends, dogs. We'll be at McConnery's this year. I believe it's Monday, the 16th, from 3 to 7.
yeah, a week
So
from
we
today.
look forward to
right?
seeing you there.
Right,
Yeah, okay, thank
Yep.
you.
So, yeah, please, Mayor, yes.
I'm gonna steal your microphone. Sure, I can't do two things at one time. We have someone who's leaving the municipal commission as of the end of this month, Bill Frisch, who's been an active member. I'm gonna ask for your grace here in case the number is not correct. I have you joining in 2010. Is that correct?
No, more than that,
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Okay,
20 years.
20 years? So I want to thank you for your service to this community through the FMC for the last 20 years. And so I go on the data that other people give me, so I wasn't quite sure if that was right. That's why I asked for grace. And I want to thank your contributions to the village. So when you leave, we have parting gifts. I hope that you will attend the holiday party, and I want to give this to you. So thank you for your service to this community. Compliments of Nikki Bittner, one of our local artists, and we wish you the best. And if you
have anything that you'd like to add, you're more than welcome to, but don't feel that you have to. I just wanted to say thank you from the village, from the Fairport Municipal Commission, and we wish you the best and happy holidays.
Thanks,
Thank
Mayor.
you so much for your service.
Thanks,
I
Mayor.
enjoyed it all.
Yeah, okay, speech.
That's it.
You're such a disappointment.
Yeah.
I know, that thing is deluxe.
Yeah, that's me, right on the bike.
Yeah, I know, that's beautiful. So,
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mayor.
and I'm just gonna echo what the mayor said. Bill, thanks for everything. It's been a lot of fun,
Yeah.
working together with you, all these years and, just, enjoy life.
Keep it up, too.
You got it.
You.
Yes, I will.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Mayor. Can we get a motion to go into executive session? I believe is the next, topic.
I wanted to do that mention.
Pardon me?
That mention. I want to do it.
Oh, okay.
Make the motion.
Okay, you want to make the motion. It's for the discussion of collective bargaining negotiations and Article 14 of the Civil Service Law is the, I guess, the motion that we should entertain. So,
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. And we will come out of executive session and then immediately adjourn the meeting. So, so again, everybody, safe and happy holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thanks, Chairman.